Rachel.
This is going to be a review of the radio lab that we listened to. And let me just start by saying that I have a huge amount of respect for Jad, Abumrad, and, well, just the entire staff of Radio Lab. So, I was very surprised when this Radio Lab came out because I generally have such a high respect. So, what were some things that don't seem to jive with what we know? Yes.
Well, I mean, first, like, the giant emphasis on folk psychology was real weird.
Can you please be more specific? What was the giant emphasis on folk psychology?
The fact that the whole radio lab was about whether or not people think that neuroscience is or that addiction things are going to change in society. Like, the fact that the whole radio lab was about what people think society is going to do versus more scientific-y things was weird.
Yeah, I think the focus of the Radio Lab was to move the emphasis of addiction from kind of the psychological living in the ethos kind of a thing that lives in the mind or in thought to something that lives in a physical person.
But it didn't do that at all.
I'm not sure it accomplished that. Yes.
Well, I have major problems with the Radio Lab, but I think one of my main ones is that they didn't really tie, like, they had all these case studies, but then they didn't really explain, like, they had the case studies present itself, and then they didn't analyze the case study. They weren't like, oh, in this case study, this person did this, and then, like, from this data, we can, like, maybe infer that, like, this caused this, or this might have something to do with addiction. They just, like, let the case study speak, and then I had problems with that because clearly, like, the case study doesn't know anything about neuroscience, and, like, they don't know what's actually happening to their brain. So, like, what you were hearing is, like, oh, I took this drug and then my addiction disappeared. But, like,
right.
You can't, like, then they didn't explain, oh, well, maybe this guy doesn't have any idea what addiction is.
Right.
In, like, the neuroscience sense, or maybe this guy isn't actually cured because, like, he stops taking the drug and the addiction returns.
Right.
So, like, that was very uncompelling.
So let's just look at this simply from the first story, which was the taking the other drug, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
The Baclofen. Baclofen?
Yeah, Baclofen.
So could another drug rescue someone from, and we call it rescue or amelioration? Could someone be rescued from cocaine addiction or alcohol addiction? What was the addiction? I can't even remember.
It was alcohol.
It was alcohol.
Alcohol. Okay,
Why
so
not?
Well, no, because
okay, so let's just think. What is alcohol? What do we know about what three things will alcohol addiction have right now?
it affects the liver and
ICSS, dependence, tolerance, and anxiety. Okay, so could Baclofen rescue alcohol addiction, and if so, how? Yes.
Baclofen only ceases pleasure, right?
Do we know what Baclofen does?
it's a
It
muscle.
stops the anxiety.
No, it's
Baclofen
an
stops the
anxiety.
anxiety.
It's a muscle relaxer.
Let's look up Baclofen really quickly.
Yeah.
It's a muscle relaxant.
It's a muscle relaxant.
Baclofen. Baclofen.
Yeah, it's a muscle relaxer because that guy took it.
But what does it do? We know that it's a muscle relaxant. We got that out of the way.
I feel like it's stuff.
That's not at all helpful to us.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So
What does it do?
what does it bind to? Look now.
Gaba receptor antagonist or agonist according to Wikipedia.
Or what receptor antagonist?
GABA receptor agonist.
So it inhibits the reward.
Yep, I said it.
Okay. So, if Baclofen is a GABA, right? Did we just say GABA?
Yeah.
Receptor agonist.
If it is a GABA if it is a GABA, it's probably not an entire. It's probably a partial GABA receptor agonist, right?
I mean, it's Wikipedia, so yes.
What would a GABA receptor agonist do? Well, let me ask you this: what is MPZP first?
It's
It's a CRF
antagonist.
tag. He said it faster, but he was right.
Okay, so it's an antagonist of CRF. So are we talking about MPZP and Baclofen? Are they the same thing?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So
For some reason, yeah.
all right. So Baclofen is going to be a GABA agonist. So what does that mean it does to the GABA receptor? Yeah, go ahead.
More.
Yeah, I mean, it blocks the receptor, but it still fires.
Okay.
So,
So it is going to prevent normal things from binding to the GABA receptor, but it
it's
is going to
to
fire more. Okay. So where is our GABA receptor?
above the dopaminergic neuron. Before the opioid
All right.
neuron.
So where is it?
Right there. Yeah, that's it.
Wait, what is that?
They're neurons, I think.
Okay.
I believe they're neurons, and it's the reward circuit. I believe the bottom of it is the dopamine.
So this is the GABA receptor. Is everybody sure about this?
Wait. Is that thing the GABA? The one?
Find your diagram. Find your diagram.
It's the one that stops the dopamine.
Guys, we can't guess. We have to know.
No.
Find it.
That's
Look
the
it
one
up.
that inhibits-
Don't trust the information in your head. Look it up. Find an image for the dopamine. Find an image for the reward system and type in GABA receptor.
Opioids inhibit
Hmm?
it inhibits the GABA neuron on the PTA, which inhibits dopamine. Yes. What? I'm just looking at my notes about this.
So, guys, realize that there's a big
Yes.
difference between a GABA receptor
And the
Oh,
GABA
receptor.
agonist and a GABA neuron agonist.
That is a GABA receptor.
So let's think. A GABA neuron produces what?
The Cl minus ions.
No.
GABA. Oh, well, since GABA.
It produces GABA, which will then travel to what thing?
GABA receptor.
GABA receptors. So, if I activate this neuron, is it the same thing as activating this receptor?
No.
So, or this cell, sorry. Or as a matter of fact, if I inactivate this cell, what will happen to this cell? It will fire. Okay, so where is the GABA neuron here? Which one of these is a GABA neuron?
That the one that you put the receptor on is the GABA. It's two.
Okay. So where is the GABA receptor?
Three.
Okay. And if I activate the receptor,
Doesn't it release the negative ions into the dopaminergic neuron, which then lowers the chance of hitting action potential?
So- according to this, what is Baclofen?
it is
It's a reward inhibitor.
inhibitor.
Does that make any sense?
No.
Yes.
Wait.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
because it would continue firing. The GABA.
So what does GABA do? What is this binding of GABA to this? Does it make, so this is dopaminergic.
So it makes it not fire.
Okay, so another way of writing this is dopaminergic neuron leads to reward. Everybody cool with that? Gaba neuron inhibits dopaminergic neuron. What does baclofen do?
Activates.
Okay. What does baclofen do?
It inhibits the reward system by stopping the dopaminergic neuron from firing.
It's a GABA receptor agonist.
It's a GABA receptor agonist, and what would that mean it does?
It means it.
Go ahead.
It simulates GABA.
Yeah.
It
So
simulates
it's
GABA.
mimic
Yeah.
to GABA that causes the receptor to actually activate,
Okay.
meaning that it mimics the behavior of GABA. So it,
And what would that do to the reward system?
it inhibits the dopaminergic neuron from firing by basically functioning the same way as GABA functions.
Fen?
No, it's an F.
I'm just wondering,
Is
why
it?
can't you just eat GABA?
Um,
You do the same
well,
thing.
I don't know
Oh,
why you'd want to.
You have
GABA.
to penetrate the blood-brain barrier.
You probably don't want to go.
It'd go to your stomach.
This
and
is
you
why they're
just-
making kids watch yoga.
Okay.
Gaba.
So, what do you suspect is happening with baclofen? Yes.
They're not. It's decreasing reward overall, so it's affecting the dependence part of the addiction because that's due to the reward that you get from the drug. So by virtue of inhibiting the dopaminergic neuron directly with baclofen, you're not getting as much reward when you take the drug. So you're not dependent on it.
Yes.
The vexing question is why are they depressed?
Right.
It's like the one out problem. It's like
Right.
the version I thought was like, yeah, like it's just not being stimulated. It's not
Exactly. So, what's that?
In the podcast, they said they were depressed.
So, this is why like addiction becomes so hard to study. So think about a depressive agent in the beginning stages of addiction. So ICSS dependence. If I depress your reward system, will it be harder or easier for me to generate ICSS dependence?
It would be easier because it'll be harder because there's already a principle in the system. You don't need but
So, okay, just think about this. Like, there's different stages. First stage, I do the drug because I feel good. If I don't feel good, do I do the drug?
No.
Okay, then there's a second stage. Second stage, I feel bad,
but it's still
so I do the drug. Now, if I feel worse, what might my behavior be?
Use more drug.
Use more drug.
That
That's
doesn't
sad.
happen.
Wait, so why?
Does that?
With baclofen?
No, well, we don't know where this person was. Like, this is completely folk. We're completely guessing. Right? We have no idea what actually happened to this person, where this person was in addiction.
So you're saying that what the whole baclofen story is just like completely wrong?
No, the Baclofen story there's been several reported cases of this in pretty highly respected journals.
But we know that baclofen decreases overall reward.
But we don't know where the person was.
So someone could be at some stage of addiction.
So you think they were
It
still in
will work.
stage A?
Because I can't. We can't. We won't know. I think the point I'm trying to make. Well, I'll tell you.
Also, like we're making the assumption that like we know GABA is really frequent throughout the rest of the brain, and it could be having like a really important effect somewhere else as causing this lack of addiction.
Mhm.
Like for all we know, the effect on the GABA receptors in like the reward pathway isn't very significant. It's its effect on the GABA receptors in some other area of the brain, and like what we do with that is like there's an entire brain.
Right. Right. Okay, so the point I want to make here is, first of all, that there are going to be ways of crosstalk, or multiple drugs affecting the same reward system. So, like, how could cocaine and alcohol affect the same? Could cocaine and alcohol affect the same reward system?
Yes.
Yes. Could I rescue one behavior with another? So, like, if you're craving reward and you are an alcoholic, could I perhaps stimulate that to some degree with cocaine?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
The other important part is seeing how differently the first part, or how treatment of addiction changes as addiction develops. Right? So we have, it is a progression. It is ICSS dependence, then tolerance, then anxiety. So, you can treat, if you can depress reward early, do you generate the initial dependence, the ICSS dependence? No. I need you to write this down because this is kind of like the important. So, what we have is kind of this downward spiral. And this is a very loose graph. And what you start to see is a cycle forming. No, this would be a very good time.
What's the normal?
Yes, I am filming. Wait, maybe. Yes, the green light's on.
What's the normal?
The
Normal
the
what?
do 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 do.
No,
Alright.
what's normal threshold?
So this is why it's a very loose graph, right? So it's positive emotional state versus negative emotional state.
Okay.
But originally the idea is that the drug is making you high. That's the initial draw. Okay? And then you suffer withdrawal. You use more. You suffer withdrawal. And what's happening here as we progress is the depressed reward system and anxiety are starting to kick in.
Man, that's rough.
The what?
The depressed reward system and anxiety are kicking in.
So when you say if you can depress reward early, you don't develop ICSS threshold. Could that be said in as like why the Asian flush thing, and that's like depressing reward because when you drink you don't have that reward and therefore like.
So there's an other side of the interesting Asian flush thing. Is that sometimes people will drink more to get past that, and that it actually in some populations generates a greater addiction.
Look at past it, dude. It doesn't get worse.
You can get higher in the beginning. Right? So, what's really interesting, I think, here is that what does treatment like jail do to anxiety levels? What does things like judgment or negative reinforcement do to anxiety? So if you're in this aspect, if you're in this area of the addiction spiral, what? I mean, I don't need to ask this question. You're driving up anxiety. You're driving up the problem, the thing that is now contributing to addiction. So there's two really important things, three I guess, really important things, takeaways once you get through this. 3 objectives.
Oh.
First of all, the idea that all these drugs are acting on the reward system mean that they can all contribute together. So they can together make the reward system worse.
Can make the reward system.
Make the reward system worse. So for example, like alcohol and cocaine, different drugs. If I become an alcoholic, is cocaine going to make me better?
Well, no, you're just gonna be cocaine.
It could, it could depend on where I was. So I'll explain that part later. All right.
Oh, it's like choosing the lesser of two evils.
But they're both going to contribute to the reward system, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The second idea is that treatment at different parts of the reward cycle, same treatment at different parts of the reward cycle, will be very different. Right? So if I depress reward here versus here, very different effect. For example, if I increase anxiety here, it might actually work.
Wait, could you repeat that?
So let's say, Phaedra, in super simple English. Let's say I give you some heroin.
Oh.
Okay? It's Monday, you know.
You need a little picture.
Well, I mean,
Right.
it's meatless Monday too, so.
It's 2 o'clock.
Definitely gonna eat something.
So, is it 2 o'clock?
Oh no.
1:49.
Okay. So if you don't get high off that heroin, if I depress your reward system, are you likely to do it again? Or as likely to do it again?
No, I'm not already addicted.
Correct.
No, the needle.
Alright, so what if you are feeling pain though? What if you are already in pain and then I put you in more pain?
If you don't take it, or if you do take
Yeah.
If neither. So I just put you in more pain.
it, and then offer you heroin,
Right.
and heroin makes you feel better.
It makes you feel less worse.
So yeah.
So yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna take
right.
it.
How are we gonna do it
That's
again?
better.
Okay? Do you understand that at different parts of the cycle, therapies are going to be very different? Okay. Now here's the third part, and we're going to tie back to the original Mary Jane Creek article at this point.
The idea that all drugs act on the reward system means that they can all work together in the reward.
Okay.
That was not very good.
No, I didn't say it very well. That's okay. So this part, again, the idea of this part, very different than this part. Here we have anxiety kicked in, we have reward system kicked in. Alright, so we're assuming that we're starting with a normal person with an intact reward system. What does a jacked up original anxiety system do here? Yes.
Might actually cause you less likely to become addicted initially, right? Because you're having less reward.
If the anxiety, so that's like saying, what if you start here?
Well, yeah, then you're gonna be. That would be sad.
No, isn't the anxiety separate from the ICSS reward? Like,
Yes, this isn't reward. This is positive emotional state.
what?
Very folky.
It's very folky. And this is a Kubian graph, just so you know. No, but it's like, it's the idea of integrating all these signals. So if you're starting here because of high anxiety,
Okay.
what is your likelihood to become addicted then?
High still.
Okay, and if you start here because of high depression, All right. I'm going to give you the next part of the puzzle and just give it to you. And
Is this number 3?
that was number 3.
Wait.
3 is tying back to the original Creek article. So if you have, so let's look at the mutations. If your original high makes you very high, if you're like me, right? So I derive a higher sense of pleasure from things like food, water, heroin. I have a 3 times more likelihood to get addicted to heroin. Yeah, I'm not going to do heroin.
Yeah, right.
What? So if I am more likely to experience reward, what is my likelihood of getting addicted? Higher. If I have an increased anxiety system, meaning I start this path, somewhere down here, what is my likelihood to get addicted? If I start depressed, which means I start over here, what is my likelihood to get addicted?
Still higher.
Okay, now here's the crappy thing. What are my treatments for those two? If I have an increased reward system, the thing you want to do is decrease my reward, correct?
Yeah.
What is a drug that could decrease my reward?
Baclofen.
Or naltrexone, right? Now, what if I have a high anxiety system? And that is where I start. Do you want to give me naltrexone?
No.
No, you want to decrease my anxiety. So the therapies for two different addicts are completely different. Who's with me?
I'm like, but okay, so when like a doctor prescribes like naltrexone versus baclofen, do they have to do those tests then to like figure out if they started with like some higher?
No.
So then how would they?
Trial and
Right.
error.
What?
Correct.
Well, like, couldn't they just
Yeah.
test it though?
Okay.
Couldn't they just test it though, or
I
is
mean,
that
they
like,
could theoretically, but like,
It's very hard to test
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah, you have to have rats.
wait, could you go over again the whole naltrexone,
Yeah.
like how the therapy?
Okay, yeah. So
Rat, am I angry?
So there's different ways of making me more susceptible to addiction, right? If I experience increased reward, I'm more likely to start down this path. If I am already depressed, I am more likely to need a drug. If I am more likely to experience anxiety, then I am more likely to need the drug. But the therapies for those different things are different. So the therapy for a sensitive reward system might be depressing the reward system or making it insensitive. Whereas the therapy for anxiety would be very different.
But then how someone who is prescribed such medication
Correct.
does not take this into account, which is why a lot of
Correct.
the time it doesn't work.
So one of the giant problems with addiction right now is that it is a blanket term.
It's multiple.
There needs to be like it should be separated at least into like dependent like if you start with some we say or if you would start with some higher vulnerability like you have like higher anxiety or like you have a depressed reward system to start with.
Right.
But like it should be categorized into those 3 first.
But what is the most likely, I mean, I don't know this for sure, I don't know the stats here, but what is the most likely therapy for somebody that is doing drugs? What are they more likely to go to jail? Or sorry, are they more likely to get arrested or go to a doctor and start
arrested.
And what does that do to their anxiety level?
It increases.
Okay. So, yes.
Why don't we like people's genetics when they're a kid and then say you're at an increased risk for meth addiction and cocaine addiction?
Because they don't have teachers that teach about the genetics of behavior.
And also, that's like people are just not taking it as seriously.
Okay.
Don't we,
All right. So
have
this part is of very, very, very importance in Tante.
No, it's a wine glass.
All right, folks. I'm going to draw one more neuron in.
The neuron.
It's a wine glass and a turkey leg.
Yes.
Things do things.
Neuron.
Somebody's ready for the next thing.
No, he drew a wine glass. You're the one that said it. You're ready for this.
Well, yes. But I interpret the
Prefrontal cortex.
Oh my god, stop it.
Okay,
Fucking yo. Oh my god.
one more aspect of addiction. Hallmark number 4.
You just like went to a hall.
That's a long neuron.
Yes,
You want to draw that?
it's literally a long neuron. No.
No, this is the not longers.
Okay. So the prefrontal cortex is responsible. Oh, so you might hear prefrontal cortex, and you might also hear orbital frontal cortex.
That's one that we don't have yet.
Correct.
My notes are always pretty.
We won't have that until we're
Well,
25 or 30.
It hasn't just disconnected. It's not that we don't have it.
No, it's developing.
I'm very
I thought it just.
Okay. So
No, it's developing.
neurons from the nucleus accumbens project forward into 2 parts of the brain, specifically the frontal part of your brain. I'm just going to call them both the PFC just because it's easier, prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is responsible for executive control. PFC is very specifically responsible for impulse control.
Wait, PFC.
It's prefrontal.
Oh,
It inhibits impulse.
No, it causes impulse.
Responsible for executive
Oh,
Impulse
the
control.
neurons, not the prefrontal cortex.
Wait, are executive control and impulse control different?
Yes.
Dopamine neuron. Which one is that? Oh, you're drawing that picture.
So the prefrontal cortex does executive.
Okay, what's the difference between impulse control and executive control? Impulse control is an aspect of executive control. Impulse control is the little thing in your head that says no.
That never happened.
Well, I think it's probably
No.
It doesn't work as well in you.
That's evolutionarily good.
Okay,
What's executive?
so don't worry about executive. Impulse
That's like
control.
the thinking first.
Yeah. Executive control is a very folksy term that is higher level thinking, specifically like organizational tasks,
Yeah.
and it's basically integration of different thoughts. So I have 2 different thoughts. I'm hungry and I need to get to class. What do I do?
Grab food and then go to class.
Generally, yeah. Aspect control. Okay, so impulse control is going to be specifically negatively negatively controlled behavior, right? So it's going to stop you from doing things. Impulse control. Stop you from doing things. And reward inhibits impulse control. So if impulse control stops you from doing things, and reward stops impulse control, what does reward do to you doing things?
Makes you more likely to do things.
It makes you
So like you just like see money and
that
you're
you
like, I'm gonna
wouldn't,
take
like
that.
logically think to do.
That you think logically not to do.
Oh, so it basically takes away logic.
Not takes away
Not,
logic.
yeah, but
Takes away impulse control.
So like that guy.
Oh, right, that guy. Yeah,
What guy?
the guy from
Phineas
it.
Gage.
Billy.
Oh, no, Phineas?
Who's that? Oh,
Phineas Gage
He's the dude who got the
is
head.
largely, so he's, a lot of his studies are under that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
basically agent.
Oh, yeah.
again, with this, you can have either addiction-based depressed impulse control, or you can have pre-existing impulse control, both of which are going to act the same exact way when it comes to your decision to do a drug.
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that?
No
Not
matter
addiction based
how
or
your
what?
impulse control is blocked, you're gonna do the same thing. So like, it could be your impulse control is blocked because you are on drugs.
Or it could be just because they're just not really.
So does that mean like
Was I wrong?
ADHD or
Exactly.
higher
Say it again.
Wait, can you just
Just
elaborate?
get in front of
In front of the camera.
So it doesn't matter how this is blocked. It could be from like a drug,
Inhibited.
inhibited. It could be from like a drug, or it could be just because like it's already inhibited. But either way, what is gonna happen is gonna be the same.
Which is what?
You're
Gonna do
gonna
things
not
like
have
not smart.
impulse control.
Right.
And both are found to be true.
Both.
Right.
Thanks.
So, impulse control is decreased in addicts, and they find that people with decreased impulse control have a higher likelihood of becoming addicts.
Oh, so
ADHD is not impulse control.
Wait, can you
Is
repeat
impulse
that?
control like in it like is quantifiable and
Impulse
measured?
control is
Or is it
decreasing
like-
We'll look at
Well,
impulse
I'm
control.
still native
Yeah.
American, so I'm screwed anyway.
people with decreased
What?
Yeah, but I'm
people with decreased impulse control are more likely to
People with decreased impulse control are more likely to become addicted to things. People that are addicted to things are
have a lower impulse control.
Going
Get
to-
a lower.
going to lower their impulse control. Yeah. So if you have impulse control and you do drugs, you are. It's a process.
What kind of neuron is the NACPFC?
What does it produce?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I have the subjective document is too.
Okay. What time's class in?
2:30.
We have
Can we take a break?
Maybe take a break.
Yeah. Let's take a break and do some complex neuroscience. Alright. To 110. Come back at 110. Is it
22:04.
How does the clock? I teach neuroscience.
You don't want to clock out of the school.
They can't read a clock.
It's Big Brother. They're watching us.
My parents made me.